Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to be going over the fundamentals of Facebook advertising. These are the things that you need to know, you need to understand these before you even start thinking about advertising on Facebook's platform. These are the basic concepts and the basic principles that you need to stick to be successful on that platform and to make sure that you're not wasting a lot of money. The first thing that you need to understand is the structure, the campaign structure itself. And the way that's broken down, it's broken down into a campaign, and that's where you can set your objectives, such as post engagement, traffic, conversions. You set that at the campaign level. Then within the campaign, you have what's called an ad set. And your ad sets are where you can create your demographics, you set your audiences, you choose your placements, whether you're doing it onto Facebook, onto Instagram. You do all that within your ad sets. And you can have multiple ad sets within a campaign. I think the limit at the moment is 80. I think it's 80 ad sets you can have within a campaign. But that's where you set where you can set your lookalike audiences, your custom audiences, where you can choose your interests, your ages, your countries, everything to do with your demographic and your audience you want to target is set within your ad set level. Within the ad set is your ad, and this is where you can choose your creative that you're going to be running to the audience you've set in the ad set. Now, an ad set can have multiple ads in there as well, so you can run a ton of different ads in there, and Facebook will optimize to whichever ad is best performing to the objective you set at the campaign level. So you need to think of it sort of like an umbrella sort of thing. So you have the campaign at the top, and that's where you set your objective. And with CBO, you would also set your budget at that level. Within that, you can have multiple ad sets. That's where you set your demographics, your audiences, etc. And then underneath that, you have all your ads, and that's where you choose whichever creative you want to run, whichever ad you want to send out there to promote your product. Now, generally what I like to do is I like to have my campaign set my objective. Within that, a different ad set for each different audience I'm running. So if I'm doing lookalikes, for example, I would do 1% lookalike in one ad set, or 1 to 2% within the second ad set, and so on. And then within those ad sets, they would all have the same ad. And that's how I would generally set up my campaign structure. So that's kind of like the basic campaign structure that you need to understand. But when it comes to the objectives, this is where I see a lot of people making a lot of mistakes. And there's people reaching out to me asking why they're running a PPE campaign or a traffic campaign, but they're not getting sales. They don't understand why they're not getting sales when they're reaching all these people, they're getting a ton of clicks, but no one's buying. And there's a reason for that, and that's because Facebook will only send your ad out to people who are going to act on the objective that you've set. So for example, if you set a campaign objective as PPE, so post engagement, Facebook will send your ad to that pot of people that are most likely going to click the like button, share it with their friends, comment on it. That's who Facebook is going to give your ad to, because that's the objective you've chosen. If you've chosen traffic as your objective, it's going to give it to people who are most likely going to click on the link on the ad and come to your website. But just because people are liking it, just because people are clicking your link, they're not generally the types of people who are going to buy that product. And that's because when you set your objective as conversion, you choose purchase as the main objective. I've seen people who are running conversion ads and then choosing add to cart as their objective. They're getting a ton of add to carts, but no purchases. And they question, why am I getting all these add to carts, but no one's actually buying? And the reason for that is that you've chosen an objective that is to add to cart. So Facebook is going to give your ad, present your ad to its people on its platform that are most likely going to add to cart. And it knows that based on the history and the actions that those people have taken. So Facebook knows that there's millions of people over here that are most likely going to add a product to cart, but not necessarily purchase it. So that's why you'd be getting a ton of add to carts. So the only objectives that you need to pay attention to is your PPE objective, because that's going to allow us to find out which one of our creatives is performing the best. By looking at the cost per click, the click-through rates, the engagement on the ad, we can determine which one of our ads is driving most of the traffic, the cheapest traffic, and getting most engagement. And also so we can collect that 95% custom audience data from the videos that we have on our ads. So that's the only reason we're using PPE, to determine which creative we want to use and to collect 95% video views data. That's it. Then the only other objective that you actually need to use is a conversion with a purchase as your main event. Your objective within there is going to be the purchase objective. And that's it. So you have a PPE and you have a conversion purchase objective. They're the only two objectives that you really should be running. Everything else is just data collection, and it'll do what it says. If you do a traffic, you're going to get a bunch of people to your site, but they might not necessarily do anything. If you If you run a conversion objective with an add to cart as your main event, then you're just going to get a bunch of add to carts, but no one's going to purchase. Yes, you might get a couple, you might get the odd few, but the main objective for that campaign will be to get people to add to cart. And that's what you need to understand. If you pick a particular objective, Facebook is only going to give that ad to people who are most likely to accomplish that objective, because that's what you're asking Facebook to do. So, if you tell Facebook to run a PPE campaign for post engagement, it's not going to give it to people who aren't going to like your posts. It's just not going to do that. That's what it's there for. So that's something you need to understand and get your head around that. There's only really two objectives you really need, and that's your PPE and your conversion purchase objective. So the next fundamental that I want to discuss is how and when to scale. So if you have a campaign set up and you've run your PPE, you've figured out your which of your creators are performing the best, and you start to run a conversion purchase campaign and you're starting to see sales, you'll be thinking to yourself, well, how am I supposed to scale this? How do I scale this? So what I like to do is I like to make sure I have at least 2 or 3 sales on each of the ad sets that I want to increase. So if I have a campaign running and I have 10 ad sets in there, if only, say, like 4 of them have sales on them, I'm not going to increase that budget on that campaign just yet. I'm going to leave it running until either I've killed the ads that aren't working and I've just left myself with the ads that are, or every single one of those ad sets are actually have a sale on them. Once I know that campaign as a whole is performing well, then I will look to increase the budget. Now, you can either increase it by just increasing your CBO budget by up to 50% every 2 or 3 days. What I personally like to do is I like to duplicate. Even now with CBO, I just find it performs better for me personally if I duplicate my CBO. So say if I'm running a £50 a day CBO campaign and I've killed off all the ad sets in there that aren't working and I'm left with a collection that are, what I'll do is I'll duplicate that CBO campaign into, say, a £100 a day campaign, and I will let that one run and I will see if that one works, and I will let those ad sets run until I'm happy that campaign is being profitable over say a 3 or 4 day period. If it is, then what I'll do then, I'll duplicate that one and I'll actually set that at £1,000 a day. And that kind of leads me on to my next point, which is around when to switch from automatic bidding to manual bidding. And what you really want to do is you can run automatic bidding through Facebook up until the point you're saying getting to around the £300, £400 mark. And once you hit that, that's when you need to be switching over to automatic bidding. And what I like to do with automatic bidding is I like to choose the bid cap option. Now, what the bid cap option will do, it will spend your budget, but it'll only bid for impressions based on the figure that you put in there. And the figure that I put in there is usually around 75% of what my break-even margin is. So if my break-even point is £20, I will start with a bid cap of £15. So that means that Facebook can only ever spend £15 to get the impression that I need to make a purchase, so my cost per purchase. And it will only spend that amount of money of my budget to find that. If it doesn't, then it'll start to lower that to try and figure out how it can get that purchase cheaper. So you'll find that with £1,000 a day budget on a CBO, with a bid cap, it'll spend it quite quickly at the beginning, but then slow down unless it is making those sales. It's a little bit more advanced. You need to be keeping an eye on the campaign as you're going through the day, just to make sure it doesn't get away from you. But I have a couple of £1,000 a day ad sets running right now, but they don't spend anywhere near that because it can't bid low enough to keep that profitable. But they are still profitable, and it just allows you to manage your budget a little bit better. But if you get those days where you are getting sales and they are coming through quicker, then Facebook will spend that £1,000, and that's how you can be really profitable, but still in control of that budget. Now, don't worry if that seemed a little bit too advanced for you. Manual bidding is an advanced skill within Facebook ads, and it is something you need to learn. You need to play around with. If you want to learn it quicker, if you want to understand it more, I do talk about it within the academy. So make sure you check out the link in the description, because everything you need to know about Facebook ads from beginner, intermediate, advanced is all within the academy, including the manual automatic bidding techniques and what you need to understand and how you can control your budget without sort of spending too much. The next fundamental you need to understand is retargeting. Retargeting is so important, and it's something you need to have set up on your store. As soon as you start seeing sales within a particular campaign, you need to be setting up your retargeting campaigns. And the campaign structure that I like to use with the retargeting is using a conversion purchase. But within that, what I like to do is I like to set up different ad sets. One that'll have a custom audiences in there that'll include 95% video viewers, but exclude people who have visited my page within, say, like 7 days. My next ad set will have people who have visited my page in 7 days, but exclude people who have added to cart. My next ad set will have people who've added to cart, but exclude people who have initiated checkout. And then finally, I'll have people who have initiated checkout, but exclude anyone who's purchased. And within each one of those ad sets, I'll have a number of different ads. So I might have a picture ad, a carousel ad, another video that I haven't ran on the main ad, and I will have different messages in there. So depending on what part of the funnel they are coming through, I will basically say, like, oh, looks like you visited the product page or whatever, but you haven't added to cart. So here's 10% off. Come back, buy the product, you really need it, or something. Make it sound good. But that's how you would do it. And then further down the funnel, you'd have different messages. But your retargeting campaigns, they're the campaigns that are going to give you the highest ROAS. And you set that up with your Facebook campaigns and get that done, and you'll see some great numbers coming through on there. But other than Facebook campaigns, what you also need to do, you need to set up the back end. So you need to set up your email and your Facebook Messenger retargeting. And there's a bunch of different apps out there that you can use. There's like Recart, Conversio. You can set all them up. Have a look on the Shopify store. That they're all there. But you also need to get yourself SMS retargeting set up. SMS retargeting is so powerful. I'm seeing some great return on investments with that. There's a link in the description for the app that I use. It is an affiliate link. I do get a little bit of commission, but it does not take away from the power of it. I mean, it is amazing what it has done to my store. Like, I wish I had that when I first started, because I've left a lot of money on the table by not having that text remarketing. So if anything, you take anything from this video, make sure you get that SMS retargeting app, because it's so easy, but so powerful at the same time. Hopefully you found this video useful. If you didn't understand some of the stuff I was saying, that's completely fine. Facebook is a beast. There's a lot to learn. There's a lot to understand. There's a lot of terminology and sort of ways you can actually use Facebook. And I think you need to spend the time to understand it. You need to learn it. There's links in my description of the video here that will teach you things that you need to know about Facebook if that's something you're interested in doing. But yeah, don't be too put off by the fact that what I've said today might not actually make much sense to you. I know it wouldn't have made sense to me when I first started, but it's hard to explain without going into massive amounts of detail, because it is so complex. And I think if you're going to be doing this, then you need to be investing in yourself to learn the skills that you need. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, drop me a like. If you have any questions about this video, if you want to learn more about the Advanced Dropshipping Academy, if you want to know more about me and my story, if you want to just ask for another video, if you have a video idea that you want, then just drop them in the comments. I'm trying to answer everything that comes through. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.